Hello, folks. We're live from our Glastonbury studio, and this is the Watchdog News Hour. I'm your host, George Gambassi. Our first guest today is Gene Guilford, who will explain the skyrocketing and hopefully downward moving gasoline price. Brian Parker is producing, as opposed to the super producer, Caitlin Gosley.
I'm only the mildly adequate producer.
Only mildly adequate. And the voice that you might hear during the program, without a face, is Al Brenner, who's helping me as I attempted to sabotage his show previously.
The shadow knows.
The shadow knows. Oh, my God. It's, Brian doesn't do this. Let's do a perfect show anymore. Gene is the president of the Independent Connecticut Petroleum Association. Gene, welcome.
Thanks, George. Great to be with you.
The reason I asked Gene to be on is because just a huge gyration in oil prices. And I get a lot of my ideas from readers who write to me. And I had a person from Collinsville send me an email and say, George, is it legal for a gasoline station owner to jack up the price of the gasoline in his underground tank several times a day, even though I know that he didn't get any new gas delivered? And I said, well, that's a really reasonable question. So I started figuring out who I could talk to, and Gene was the person who I ended up with, and he really gave an excellent explanation. Before I let Gene talk about that, I just want to say that one of the reasons that I went to him is he represents the independent gasoline station owners. And for those of you who blame gasoline station owners for the gyrations, you're blaming the wrong party. And I'll give you the main reason for that, why I believe that. And that is that if selling retail was a hugely profitable business, the oil companies would be doing it, as they used to do.
Right.
And the majors have all sold. In fact, why don't you tell us about how many stations there are in Connecticut and how many are left owned by the major oil companies?
About 1,400 retail service stations and convenience stores in Connecticut, and as of today, none are owned by major oil companies. The last little bit were sold by ExxonMobil to a company named Alliance LLC, which is out of Brantford,
Massachusetts, right?
Headquartered out of Massachusetts, that's correct. Their local office is in Brantford, Connecticut, that's correct. So all the gas stations in the state of Connecticut today are owned by some local company, some local Connecticut owner.
Is there, while we're on there, is there any one company that owns a lot of them?
Alliance owns a lot of them. Yeah, they do. Out of the 1,400, they probably own 10%.
Really?
Yeah, they do.
They just bought 85, so...
Right. They had a big increase in their market share here in Connecticut. That's right, with the purchase of the ExxonMobil stations.
So what I would really love is, Brian, could I ask you to put that... Al's rubbing off on me here. I've got a chart, too. I've never before had a chart, but after the 10 that Albert put up today, I figured I had to have one competing chart.
All right, there it is. There's your dollar bill.
Here's a dollar bill. Gene, can you want to go through that and explain to our viewers? There it is, which I think is a great chart. Yeah, there it is.
Yes.
Yes, what I stole from your website.
Oh, okay. Yes. Where does your gasoline dollar go? Yes. This is something we did out of a considerable amount of research. And basically, we break it down into four component parts. 71% of your dollar, 71 cents out of the dollar, goes to refiners, wholesalers, and Wall Street brokers. And refiners and wholesalers are the majority of that. Wall Street brokers are a small part, and I'm sure that we'll get to that at some point. 26 cents out of the dollar goes to state and federal taxes. And to give you an example, George, on that one, Connecticut has a particular distinction, one that it may not necessarily enjoy. I certainly don't. Connecticut has the highest gasoline taxes of any state in the Northeast. Today, we have two state taxes. One is the excise tax, which is 25 cents, The other is called the Petroleum Gross Receipts Tax. That's 7.5% of the wholesale price of gasoline. And today that generates 25.8 cents a gallon. So the combination of the two is almost 51 cents a gallon just in state tax. Then you add to that 18.4 cents a gallon federal tax. So the combination of two state taxes and one federal tax today is just over 69 cents a gallon out of every gallon you purchase. So that's where roughly a quarter of your gasoline dollar goes. Then to transport that gasoline from the terminals that transport
New Haven Harbor,
gasoline, New Haven Harbor is the biggest one,
yep,
is about 2%. Credit card fees is the other part of that. And to give you an idea, most of us buy gasoline using a credit card today, sure, because the price is high. Our local retailers, just for the privilege of having their gas pump connected to a credit card processing company that allows that transaction to be processed, typically the charge is 2% of the sale price. So it's, if you fill up and it costs you $75, it's 2% of that. And to give you an idea about what that costs per gallon on average, today that 2% based on the average AAA retail price for Connecticut today, which is $4.26 a gallon, that charge would be 8.5 cents a gallon just for the credit card processing company, 2% of the retail price. And last but not least, poor, well, not necessarily poor, but certainly proud, is the local gasoline retailer. Now, the local gasoline retailer typically will earn a net of 2 or 3 cents a gallon out of everything that is sold.
But what do you mean by net?
Well, a gasoline retailer would like to be able to mark up the price of a gallon delivered to his or her station by 20 cents a gallon. That's what they would like to be able to do. That pays for their property taxes and their lights and their environmental compliance and their people and everything else that goes into operating that property. And out of that 20 cents, if they can mark it up 20 cents, they would be able to, that's their gross margin, they would be able to net 2 or 3 cents, actually put 2 or 3 cents in their pocket.
You're talking about income then?
That's correct, actual income. Now, just to take you one step further, something else that's on our website today, wholesale price of gasoline in New Haven Harbor, the average price of 13 wholesalers, which is here.
Mm-hmm.
This is, the top is today.
Okay.
This is what I get from the Oil Price Information Service each morning.
I'll
let Al take a look at that. He understands these charts better than I do.
That average price for regular gasoline, this is the wholesale price, is just over $3.43 a gallon.
Okay.
Then you add the 3 taxes that we just talked about, and before the gallon of gas leaves New Haven Harbor, it costs $4.12 a gallon.
Okay. Now that doesn't include the transportation charge.
No, it hasn't left New Haven yet.
Okay.